Right, what we got here is a Ford Thunderbird steering box, and someone's had this thing rebuilt, put a new worm, is that a worm? I think that's the worm, isn't it? Worm and roller, and they got this thing all back fitted in the car, went to put the steering column on, and the steering column wouldn't slide over these splines. And it seems as if in putting this shaft into the worm, I don't know if someone's hit it with a club hammer or something, but they've distorted this shaft. Mulled the end slightly, bent the shaft slightly. So after a lot of palaver, we think we've got this okay. I skimmed the OD. I kind of strained it out as much as we could. A bit kind of hit and miss on the fly press. Taken about 15mm off the end, which is the part that seemed to be really causing a problem. This is DCMT insert. Tool obviously set sideways, and it's a reasonable fit in the splines. So we're just going to wind it along with the carriage, and we're going this way because there's not enough room between the end of the piece and the centre that I'm using to support it for the tool to ride off, or to start the other way around. Yeah. So and that's actually turning the chuck as it's coming along, which is not the idea. Yep, okay. I'm just manually indexing this, just doing it by feel. And all I really need it to do is to take off the high spots where the splines are not actually straight. And I've just snapped the tip. Poop. Okay, let's put another one in. Obviously not a good idea to wind it back. I need to wind it out before I go back and then go in again. Right, tip number 2. I'm just feeding it in to a certain reading on the cross slide. Trying to get them all the same. Wow. Okay. got the gears disengaged on the spindle. There's a little bit of stiction in the bearings. It would be better if this was indexed properly, but we are just trying to clean this thing up. I'm not cutting new splines from scratch, so I'm hoping this will do the job. Yeah, let's tie it. This thing is definitely bent. Once we get round, I will try the column on it, see if it will go on a bit further than it did before. And we may or may not have to go round again. It's doing something though, so hopefully it will help. The tool is probably not quite the right shape either, but again it's doing something, so back to the beginning, and I think we've done this one already. There's nothing special in the material, it's just a piece of mild steel from what I can gather. Well, that's not much better than it was before. Poop. Oh dear. Okay, let's go around again. I'm not sure I'm liking the finish on that particularly. I think we're going to have to run a file over this afterwards. We'll go around again at the same setting. I'm going to spin this round and snap the end of the tip if I'm not careful. Oh, come on. Right, let's clean it up a bit with a file. I don't think the file is a good fit in a spline either, but think it's doing something. Different file. Might get down into the bottom of the groove a bit better. We haven't taken heaps out of this because you can still see the kind of ripples from the original milling cutting. Right. Oh heck, I don't think we're getting anywhere with this. I don't know if that's gone on much further. The darn thing is still bent, clearly. Oh heck. This is going to take forever. Or on the other hand, we could just leave it like that. This thing was made so that there was some telescoping adjustment on the steering wheel. And we've already cut a piece off this spline, so that's reduced his adjustability. And it could well be that that's on enough to drive it. I'm sure it is. You might just have to leave it in that position. Let's just mark that and see how far on that's gone. Well, I wonder if that's enough. Now I suppose what might be interesting would be to mark this up and see where it gets rubbed off when we push the shaft over the spline. Let's do that. Is it on the OD? Or down in the V of the splines, I wonder. Yeah, and of course the marker pen's not got a pointy enough tip on it to get down into the valley of the spline. Yeah. I think what I'll do is I will leave this to dry, come back to it tomorrow. still the same. Right, I'm going to try a different tip. Change for one that's intended for steel. To one that's really meant for aluminium, but they've got a sharper edge on them, so they might actually cut nicer instead of pushing off slightly, which I think this is doing a little bit. So let's put this other one on. Right, we'll go through this again, and I don't know why I didn't think of it before. I've got a foot brake on this machine, so I can use the foot brake once I've indexed it to hopefully stop this from turning as I'm running along with this cutter. So let's see how we go. That sounded ominously like I just chipped the tool. I've also forgot to put the centre in. Let's do that before we go any further. Wow, it's taken loads off there. Blimey. Still goes on to about the same point and gets stuck. You bugger. It'll still be bent in the middle somewhere. Well, that was a fairly stiff 120 grit sanding disc. thinking that folding it over would keep it fairly straight and take the high spots off. Don't know if that worked. Run a file around it again and have another go. Right, this still doesn't want to go on any further than that. And look at the other end where it's poking in the tailstock. I think that's giving us a clue that it's still bent. I can see a couple of shiny spots there, there. Might be where it's binding. There, maybe. Right. Pretty much the same. Oh well, that will have to do. So this shaft, the actual steering column, goes into the sleeve that much. 2.2 inches, and at the moment the steering box spindle goes in to there, which is near enough 3 inches. So I think we've got plenty of engagement. And if it was forced, it would go on further than this. You're not it's not going to get as easily adjustable steering reach if you push this on that far. But that bit is not bad. So I think we've got an acceptable job done there, and that's quite smooth. I think you'll be able to live with that, and you just won't be able to push the steering wheel right down as far as it would go. But considering what this was like before, where it wouldn't go in more than ½ an inch, I think we're doing okay. Fiddly, but job done, I think.